Ever notice how ads always pop up at the worst moments? When the killer's identity is about to be revealed. During that perfect meditation flow. On Amazon Music, we believe in keeping you in the moment. That's why we've got millions of ad-free podcast episodes, so you can stay completely immersed in every story, every reveal, every breath. Download the Amazon Music app and start listening to your favorite podcasts ad-free, included with Prime.
All right, let's dive in today, and we're going to tackle something that I think is really relevant to a lot of folks out there, and that's the financial reality for a lot of low-income households in America. And we're coming at this from kind of a unique perspective. We've got a CNN article that sparked this whole discussion on Reddit, and it all revolves around Dollar General.
Yeah, and it might seem a little counterintuitive at first, but Dollar General, the retailer known for super low prices, is actually sending up a warning signal. They're observing a decline in the financial well-being of their main shoppers, the ones making under $40,000 a year.
When you think about it, you would think that a place literally called Dollar General would be doing amazingly well if people were really strapped for cash. But their CEO, Todd Vasos, he's saying that customers are having to make some really tough choices and they're coming in less often.
Yeah, and it's not just, like a feeling they have. The company's own sales figures are backing this up. Their same-store sales are only showing a slight increase, which means that their core customers, the ones they rely on, are really having to tighten their belts.
But wait a minute, isn't inflation supposed to be cooling down? Shouldn't things be getting a little bit easier for people?
Well, yeah, inflation has calmed down a bit, but let's not forget about housing costs, healthcare, all those essential things. Those are still really expensive. I mean, just think about it. Even a small rent increase can have a huge impact on someone who's living paycheck to paycheck.
And speaking of paycheck to paycheck, that's where that Reddit discussion gets really interesting. People are sharing their personal stories and comparing what it was like to be poor like decades ago versus now. And it sounds like it's a completely different situation.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. One Redditor, they were talking about how they used to turn in beer cans for gas money back in the 90s. But now with inflation and the way that recycling values have changed, that same side hustle just wouldn't work anymore. Even those little informal ways of making extra cash have kind of dried up.
Wow, it's the really powerful example of just how much things have changed. There was another Redditor who was talking about their family's go-to meal. It was hot dogs, mashed potatoes, and cheese. Back then, it was a cheap and easy way to feed everyone, but now, it kind of highlights how difficult things are for a lot of families.
Yeah, it really makes you wonder, is Dollar General part of the problem, or is it just a symptom of something much bigger?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Right.
And the Reddit thread really gets into that debate. Some people are actually arguing that Dollar General might be making things tougher for their own customers.
Yeah, one Redditor brought up this article from Perfect Union that exposed how Dollar General sells these smaller package sizes at what seem like really low prices. But when you break it down, it ends up costing more per unit than buying the larger sizes you'd find at a regular grocery store.
Oh, wow. So it's like a hidden poverty tax.
Yeah.
The people who can least afford it end up paying more for the convenience of buying smaller amounts. It's almost ironic, isn't it?
Yeah.
The very people that Dollar General is supposed to be helping are the ones getting hit the hardest.
Exactly. It raises some serious ethical questions about their whole business model. Are they really serving their customers, or are they taking advantage of their situation?
And then to make matters even worse, another Redditor mentioned this John Oliver segment that went deep into some of the questionable things that dollar stores do. It seems like there's a lot more going on than meets the eye with those bright yellow signs and low prices.
Yeah, it's like the system is working against the people who are already struggling. But maybe we should take a step back and look at the bigger picture here. Like, what does this whole situation tell us about the U.S. economy overall?
I'm curious to hear your take on that, because it seems like we've been hearing about income inequality and the wealth gap forever. But this Dollar General thing really brings it home,
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We've got data from Moody's Analytics showing that higher income households actually increased their spending between September 2023 and September 2024. But working class and middle class households actually spent less.
So it's not just a feeling, it's like backed up by the numbers, Even when the economy is supposedly doing well, a huge chunk of people are getting left behind.
Yeah, that's right. And it's not even just about spending habits either. We're seeing CEOs from all sorts of industries raising concerns too. Like Ashley Buchanan, the CEO of Kohl's, he said that consumers making under $50,000 are really constrained. And even people making under $100,000 are facing some serious financial challenges.
That's pretty eye-opening coming from someone who runs a huge retail chain. It sounds like this financial stress is impacting the whole economy.
Yeah, it is. We're seeing this consumer slowdown across different income levels, and there are a bunch of factors at play here. Inflation, tariffs from the Trump administration, stock market volatility.
And it's not even just retail either. The article mentioned that Delta Airlines had to lower their profit outlook because people are traveling less, both for business and leisure.
It kind of points to this overall anxiety about the economy, like maybe things aren't as stable as they seem. And for people who are already living on the edge, that uncertainty can be really scary.
So we're seeing signs of financial strain everywhere. But you mentioned something earlier about the social safety net being dismantled. Can you explain what you mean by that?
Sure. Well, over the last few decades, there's been this trend of cutting back on programs that are designed to help people in need. Things like food stamps, unemployment benefits, affordable housing.
So the very programs that are supposed to help people get back on their feet are being weakened. That doesn't seem like a good strategy.
No, it doesn't. And you combine that with the financial pressures we've been talking about, and it creates a really tough situation for low-income Americans. It makes it so much harder to afford the basics, let alone get ahead.
It started to sound pretty bleak. Stagnant wages, rising costs, less support from the government, and then businesses like Dollar General maybe even profiting off of all this. Where do we even go from here?
Well, the first thing is just acknowledging how serious this problem is. We can't just ignore Dollar General's warning like it's just another business report. It's a wake-up call that a lot of people in this country are struggling to survive.
It's like that canary in the coal mine analogy.
Yeah.
If a company that's built its entire business on serving low-income customers is raising a red flag, we need to pay attention.
Absolutely. And this brings us to the big question. What can we do to change things?
That's what I was just thinking about. It's easy to feel overwhelmed by all this, but what are some things that could actually make a difference?
Yeah, it feels we're at a point where the choices we make as a society are going to have a really big impact on the future. But I'm wondering, are there any bright spots in all of this? What gives you hope?
Well, it's not all bad news. There are definitely things we can do and some signs of hope. For example, we need to address stagnant wages. People working full-time jobs should be able to afford to live, you know?
Right? It's hard to imagine breaking out of poverty when you're barely making ends meet, even with a full-time job.
Exactly. And along with that, we can't ignore the issue of affordable housing. The lack of options is a huge burden, especially in cities where rent is just out of control.
It's like getting hit from both sides. Wages aren't going up, but the cost of housing keeps rising.
Yeah, and we need policies that encourage building more affordable housing and protect renters from unfair rent increases.
Okay, so those are some big picture things, but what about on a personal level? What can we do in our own communities to help? There are actually a lot of things we can do. For instance, supporting local businesses helps to strengthen the economy and creates opportunities for everyone.
So instead of always going for the cheapest option at a big box store, maybe we could spend a little more to support a local shop.
Exactly, and even simple things like volunteering at a food bank or checking in on neighbors who might be struggling can have a real impact.
It's easy to forget that we're all connected, and we can't just rely on the government or big companies to fix these problems. It takes all of us working together.
Absolutely. And one of the most important things is to challenge our own assumptions about poverty. It's easy to judge people without understanding how they got there.
Yeah, we need less judgment and more empathy. And understanding everyone deserves a chance to thrive, no matter their financial situation.
I completely agree. By recognizing each other's humanity and working to create a fairer society, we can start to address these challenges and build a better future for all of us.
This deep dive has really given me a lot to think about. We've covered so much from Dollar General's warning to the broader issues facing low-income Americans. It's complicated, and there are no easy answers, but we definitely can't just ignore it.
Yeah, I agree. The decisions we make now will have a lasting impact.
So to everyone listening, we'll leave you with this. As the cost of living keeps going up and wages struggle to keep pace, what solutions resonate with you? What can we each do, both individually and as a society, to create a world where everyone has the chance not just to survive, but to truly thrive?